Okay, so in this session I want to go through the design of a Lego brick. It's a really nice beginning activity. Now we can see, looking at a Lego brick, that there are some things that we need to consider. This is what we call the design intent. So say for example here we've got 8 circles, they're all the exact same and they're all equally spaced. Similarly down here we've got 3 circles that are directly in the center, and we've got a uniform wall thickness. So these are some of the things that we want to consider with our design. So if we open a new part, okay, and wait for this to load up. Okay, and you'll be greeted here by a number of different tabs here along what we call the ribbon. And down here you've got what's called the design tree. So we want to sketch up the part first. So we're going to go to the sketch tab here, and we're going to use a corner rectangle. And Solidworks always gives us the option to draw on a preferred plane. So in this instance we're going to draw on the top plane, because we're going to draw a top-down view or a plan. So if you select the top plane, and you can start drawing there, or you may want to reorientate yourself by pressing the space button, and now you can start to draw. So I'm going to draw this corner rectangle. I'm going to make sure that one of my corners is directly on this red origin point. And what that means is that one of these corners is always going to be linked to a definitive space. So what you see sometimes in a lot of technical drawings is that someone will draw this and it will be in the middle of space, and it's very easy for things to get moved, shifted, edited unintentionally. So by keeping something to this red origin point keeps things much easier to manage. And you'll notice here that you've got 2 lines here that are black and 2 that are blue. What that means is anything that's blue is underdefined and can be moved. So the black lines here will generally stay tethered to this red origin point, whereas the blue lines are free to move. And we want to make sure that all of our lines are fully defined and are black lines before we move on to the next stage. That's the case in about 99% of all drawing components. So we're going to use Smart Dimension, which is a very important tool. And you can take any one of these lines here and you can dimension them. Okay, and we've got the dimensions here. I've pulled these dimensions off the internet. A simple Google search will find these for you. And I've got 31.8 by 15.8. So I'm going to start with that. So 31.8 by 15.8. No. So I've accidentally made a mistake there. I can double click on that and make that 15.8. Enter, and it will update. Okay, so now we've got all those lines that are fully dimensioned, and that means that we can move on to the next stage. So we're going to extrude this shape. Okay, and extrusion is basically creating a rectangular block from this, or triangular, circular, whatever it needs to be, and making it 3D. So again, we've got a dimension for this, 9.6 millimeters. There, so it's going to be 9.6 millimeters high, 9.6, and if we click enter, we're now greeted with this 3D block. It's important as well to remember that you're using millimeters within this. Solidworks tends to be set up automatically as inches, pounds, and seconds, which is the metric measurements, or sorry, imperial measurements. We want millimeters, grams, and seconds. So, moving on from that, okay, we're now able to draw these circles and start to make the actual Lego interjoining blocks. So we're going to use sketch. We're going to select a circle, and you'll notice here on the left it says select a plane, planar face, or an edge on which to create a sketch for an entity, or an existing sketch to add the entity to that sketch. So we're going to draw it on this top plane here, or this top of the Lego block. Okay, so if we select that, it'll turn blue, and we can change our view orientation here so that we're looking directly in on top. And we're just going to draw a circle there, any dimension, doesn't matter too much, it is completely undefined at the moment. So we're going to smart dimension it. Looking at the dimensions that we have, it is a 4.8 millimeter diameter, and it's 3.9 millimeters from the center point to the edge. Okay, so we're going to go from there. So center point to the edge, 3.9, and similarly here 3.9, and a diameter of 4.8. Okay, so now we've got one of those circles. So now there's a number of ways that you could go about doing these 8 circles. Okay, you could do all 8 in a similar manner, make sure that they're equally spaced, but that's not a very efficient way of doing it. So you can do it one of two ways. You can use a linear sketch pattern where we can pattern the circle into 8 shapes, or we can extrude this similar to what we did already, and then pattern that extruded feature. So it is a height of 1.8 millimeters. So 1.8. Okay. And we want to make sure that we're making sure that this box here, merge result, is ticked, because otherwise it doesn't quite it doesn't actually quite join together all that well, and can be quite noticeable. So click OK, and we've got one of those circular points there now, which is great. So open the Features tab. We're going to use a linear feature. In AutoCAD or similar programs, this will be called an array, A-R-R-A-Y. So direction 1 is going to be along this direction here, and direction 2 is going to be along this direction here. Okay, and you'll notice here that you get little arrowheads. You can change the direction if you wish. The dimension between center points is 8 millimeters. So 8 and 8, and the feature that we want to pattern is this shape here, and you should get a preview. If you don't get a preview, tick a little box down here that says either partial preview or full preview. It seems to be more or less the same. So click OK. There we have our top side to the Lego block. So that's the first part. I want to look now at creating this uniform wall thickness. Okay, so we're told that it's a 1.2 millimeter wall thickness. So, excuse me. So again, using the Features tab, we're going to use Shell over here, and your perimeter is 1.2. So that's your wall thickness. Now, it's important that you change this first before you select anything, otherwise you're going to get a load of error messages, because this component is actually more than, or is less than 20 millimeters thick, so each wall can't be 10 millimeters. So select that first, and then using the middle button of your mouse, you should be able to wheel your component around so that you see the bottom. Select the bottom. Again, if you want to see a preview, you should just click the show preview button and click OK. And all of a sudden now we have our Lego piece. Okay, so that's most of that there, which is really handy, really good to know. Next part then is to draw the 3 circles that come in here, and you'll notice actually that you've got these underside circular points already done for you by using that shell tool, which is really handy. So again, using the spacebar, we're going to now look at the bottom of the component, and you should get something a little bit like this. So we're going to sketch out our components. So again, using a circle, and it's important that you're selecting the inner point here. If you select in here, then your circles are going to be drawn basically in mid-air, because they're not going to. So you want to make sure that you're selecting in around the area there, okay? And we're going to draw 3 circles. Again, doesn't matter exactly where they are, okay? And we know that these are all here. Okay, we're also going to use a center line, and if you hover over the middle of any of these edge lines, you'll get a little yellow center line indicator. You can bring that the whole way around horizontally. So you can now drag your circle again just over to where that, and it should automatically snap when it comes close. If you don't have the snap feature, you can, if you search for in the top corner here, snap, it should tell you how to go about doing that, which is pretty handy. Okay, so again, we want to make sure that we've got this working correctly. Now, with a little bit of geometry, you can actually be quite clever about this, and you don't necessarily need to go measuring out the center points. Again, if you hover over the center of these circles, you'll get the center point, and you can bring it down there and across, and basically where this is there, that should give you direct in the center there, and same over here. So it's just a little bit of clever geometry, saving you having to go measuring everything. Might not always work with every component, but it works with this Lego block. We also want to, again, smart dimension this. So our inside diameter here is 4.8 and then 6.5 on the outside. So 4.8. Now, why is that? If at any point you're unsure as to why something is still blue, pick it up and move it. That'll usually tell you what you need to fix. So now we've got a black fully defined line and 2 others. We also want to make sure that we've got that this is always the same as this. Okay, so then if you select your circle, press Control, and select the other circles, you will get the option over here to make them equal. And now they should all be equal and all fully defined. And that's really beneficial, because when you want to come back and change dimensions or whatever, so let's say I want to change that to 6.5, it all automatically updates. Same thing here, I want to create 3 circles, 1, 2, and 3. And again, smart dimension 4.8, and these are all going to be now the same. So I'm pressing the control button here and selecting each one of those circles, and that gives me the option there to create them equal. From there I can rotate around and I'll see that it's drawn just on the inside of my Lego block, and I want to extrude these out to the endpoint. So as a base dimension, it'll usually use whatever's been the last dimension inputted, and you'll notice that it just says blind. We want to actually bring it out to this wall here. We want to bring it just there, no further, no less. So if we bring that up to surface, and we select the surface that we want to bring it up to, you'll find that that goes directly to there. So then that way you don't have to go working out the maths, or if you change this dimension here later on, which we will do, that makes it a lot easier to just it basically follows that, and it's never ever sticking out. Again, make sure it's ticked merge result, click OK. There's your Lego block, and that is basically everything that you need to do. If you want to, you can change the material. So right click on the material over here in the design tree, edit material, and Lego blocks are usually made out of ABS. So you can search for a plastic ABS, and it tells you all the information that you need about plastics, which is really beneficial when it comes on to do simulations. So just apply that for today, close it, and you'll find that it comes out white. If you want to change the color of it, because Lego blocks don't always come in white, there is an option there to change it. So I'm going to make it green. Click OK, and there we are. Now from there, File, Save As, and I'm going to call this Lego 1. Save. And that's it.